Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm the end. I'm the end. I'm the end. Are you ready to ride the Are you ready to ride the frequency? To ride the frequency?
Well, hello, good people. Time for part 2 of Clive Christopher's Aliens Uncovered, Observe and Report talk. Okay, Clive, come on. Well, hi, Clive. So, welcome back to Riding the Frequency.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. How's everybody doing? What's up? What's going on?
Well, we were gonna finish talking about Aliens Uncovered, Observe and Report, but like the hearings are on right now, and they're talking about drones and and I think they're talking nonsense. And you were about to educate me as to what the real deal is, because you fly drones and you live on or by the range, so you've got working knowledge of what happens when you fly a drone by a military base, and you can show me on your phone what's up, like on your end of it when, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So this is first off, yes, you're correct. I do fly drones. Some of the drone, even though like some of the footage that because I have other friends, there's leagues, the racing and stuff. So but yes, I have a drone. I have one. I could probably go get it. It's in my other room. I just re-downloaded the app on this phone. But so they're talking about the drones and the hearing, and it was mentioned that when these drones are over a military installation, there's a checklist that the military goes through. And I'm listening to, I believe it was General, I don't know the name at the time because I had to open up this app. But when it comes to flying a drone near a military base, if it's I have a DJI, I have the Mavic Air, DJI, and when you open this up, let's see if it'll allow me to do it. I
Do you
might
want to
have
share
to.
your screen? Is it worth doing that, or?
Well, no, I have my phone here,
Okay.
so I'm trying to see. I'll probably have to link my device to it. Let's see here, QR. Yeah, I would have to relink my device to it.
Whatever.
So what pops up is there's a map that kind of looks similar to this. Wow, it's showing that my drone was. Oh, that's right. Okay, so here you go. It'll show right there. This is the last registered time of my drone right here. This was near. You can see it says Apache Junction. I was near the Superstition Mountains. I was getting a shot of the Superstition Mountains
Is that the one
when
that you told me you lost in our last talk? Is that the one you lost when you found that piece of
no,
rock?
no. So I have two drones. Great question. That drone that'll be in Aliens Uncovered Observe and Report 2, that's the drone that's still missing, and you'll see that in this next movie coming up here. But this is my other drone, and this one is actually sitting out in the other room right now. And this is, as like I said, you can see it gives where its last location was, but also because Arizona has so many different installations and military bases here in the city. Uh, if you get too close to a base, let's say hypothetically Luke Air Force Base, there will be military codes that pop up on the screen. Okay. And then if you continue to ignore it, if you're licensed, you automatically know what time it is, you know the codes, you can get fined, lose your flight. People get paid to do this stuff. If you're not licensed, they have the ability to somehow sink into your drone, take your drone, take flight of it, and fly it to their base. So when they're talking about these drones, from the past, maybe year or so, where they were showing these drones over military bases, even if they were from another country, they would not only be able to take control of that, but that would be an act of war, as that gentleman was saying, or the young lady was saying earlier, as you saw me cheering and stuff like that. Yes, that's correct. That's an act of war. But because these drones were not shot down, they weren't captured and taken control, they can seize total control of it. That just leads me to believe that these drones that we saw over the past year, that they're ours. One, they have collision lights on them. If you have collision lights, there's also a star side. You see those lights, which is the red and white lights on a majority of them. That lets me know that these drones are within FAA regulations. So it looks like, and I'm not the one to point fingers, but it looks like what they're talking about, and they're not using the wording, is this could have been a possible false flag event. And like I said, I don't know, but just listening to the hearings and the little bit that I was hearing right before we went live, uh, that's what it sounds like they might be alluding to. So, and once again, there's military installations all over the city, all over the state. Um, you cannot fly your drone. We know this. Like I said, they will ground your drone. They will make it to where your drone cannot fly no more than 10 feet off the air, sometimes lower than that. It happens at the Black Mountain BMX track. So,
So the lady
yeah,
suggesting that like we should neutralize them immediately is ridiculous when the protocol is if you're flying where you're not supposed to be, they'll drag your drone's ass right back to their military base. So the
yeah,
fact that they're not doing that makes me feel like your assessment may be accurate, but I'll go even further and say something like a failed false flag attempt by Abbott and Costello. Like, these guys are lame. If that's what they were trying to do and failed at such a massive level, we should be really afraid. Like, not of aliens, but of our uh slapstick government Pentagon slapstick. Slapstick.
yeah. I don't know. And I always, like I said, just through observation. I mean, these drones that we saw, like I said, over the past year, maybe year and a half, that over Jersey and over these locations. That was the first sign to me, once again, just based off of what we're doing here. And there's tons of drones here. That's why you have to have licenses to be able to, fly it, or some people don't, but they could still capture your drone. That is a possibility with the missing drone. We have to look at that because the drone was just gone. I have great eyesight, but who knows? It could have escaped my vision. And in an area where I'm at, there's all kinds of military, not just it's not bases, but there's just installations, places that are involved with the military. They're all over the city. And so looking at this, and anybody else that has a drone that is watching this, they can attest to this. This is when you fly your drone in a no-fly area. I mean, the bells and whistles start going off. You can't deny it. Even if you're not registered with the FAA, it's still going to go off. So the fact that there's video footage of these drones flying over military restricted airspace. To me, in my opinion, that lets me know that it's not only ours, but these are also within FAA regulations. So it sounds like, you know, and I'm seeing it in the comments here, you know, false flag operation. And obviously you're expecting something extravagant, but I mean, I even heard that it was a possible mothership from Iran that was off the coast of maybe the Atlantic or something. Like, I don't
Yeah, they
know.
were saying that. They were saying that a while back. But I mean, are we expecting things to be extravagant because we've been conditioned by my people?
Yes.
Hollywood every time. Make it the baddie take
Yeah,
on
that
here.
is,
Come on. I'm so sick of this stuff.
I have to agree with you there. I think that the movies that we watch, they kind of um, present a false reality of what is to come.
Well,
So
let's
I
take it a
agree with
step
you there.
further. The movies that we watch are the food that we digest, but it's not food for your mouth, food for thought. There's a saying, food for thought for a reason, yeah? Because it's the mental environment. And I'll still go back to consciousness. 8 billion people, the majority of what 8 billion people agree subconsciously is the way things are, is what everybody gets to watch unfold to a greater or lesser degree, depending on how much you buy into collective consciousness being what affects you personally. And that goes back to if you're wandering around the planet in your life identifying as an awareness, all this becomes some crazy human play that keeps unfolding with all kinds of whack characters coming in and out. And then all of the other characters who just go around being extras doing whatever they're supposed to do to fill the space. Like that's why I said yesterday or whatever it was to you. Like, how do you know this isn't some weird generated Truman show by some I mean, it could be two mantises watching a TV with this like and all of this going on, just having a good laugh, eating mantis popcorn someplace. Like, and we don't even exist. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I can honestly say about what we're seeing today is it looks like they're putting closure to um, what possibly looks like a hoax. There was video of one of these drones that was shot down, and it was massive. So now we have to ask if we're going to. The next set of questions is, well, who made these drones? Uh, who are they operated by? And who gave the orders to not only fly over military restricted airspace, but you knew it was going to be okay, right? Because these are the things that we really need to look at collectively, because obviously there was confusion. Were there other things that were happening during these times? And this is uh, 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 a distraction. Look over here while something could be going on over here.
That's entirely
And once
probably
again,
true. Well, because that's the MO.
I
That's what they always do. So why wouldn't they be doing that now?
I've lived through an event known as the Phoenix Lights where something happened and then another set of lights popped up, and there's just different reports. People that I've talked to, cops, firefighters that still have not come on camera. Uh, you know, they saw things throughout the entire night. So when I see something and you look at what we have now with the drones, was there something that possibly happened that we missed, right? Or let's look at some of the sightings that happened during that time and then find a concentration in a specific area, and then we investigate that. You know,
Yeah,
that's where I would start.
well, okay, we can start there for now, but I would like there's so much information. I was just watching a YouTuber who I've never seen before. I'm sorry if that's insulting to you, young man. Young man, listen, young man. I can say that. I'm going to be 60. I just need to get a cane and start waving that around and crack people in the shins when they're in my way. Get out of the way. No, Julian Dory. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. He interviewed Ryan Wood, and Ryan and his dad have been writing books and they say things. The conversation was good. I mean, I liked how Julian Dory engaged Ryan Wood. And I liked the tone of the conversation because it wasn't whooped up. And Julian made a couple really good points along the lines of what I'm always yapping about, you know? Um, so I think with the combination of what you're doing and what Skywatcher is doing and all the new stuff, because we have different technology, the people now have access to technology that the people just had to trust their TV at 6 o'clock at night when Walter Cronkite came on. I mean, we were such an innocent, right?
Mm,
It's like we've lost that innocence as a species now with all these distractions, and it's just gotten so far. It's almost like if you could reel it back in, like fishing, could you just reel the line back in a little bit and then let's cast it again,
mm,
like with a different. If only humanity could just feel like they're out fishing all the time. It's one of the most peaceful things.
mm.
The chaos out there really is so um indicative. I wanted to say in my head disturbing, and like my solar plexus wants to whatever, and it immediately makes me have a lump in my throat and want to start crying because it's really, I know it's necessary to get to where I hope we're going as a species to really, like, it has to come up and out and people have to see the fuckery and acknowledge it. Like, you can't fix a problem if you're not aware that it exists, right? And part of being aware that this exists is bringing forth facts that are not what we would prefer to have presented to us. And ultimately, we've got a choice to look at the facts and act accordingly. And are we in a place where we're going to come together as a species and evolve? Or are we going to sit down like a dog and roll over on our backs and just be submissive? We're complicit.
History is,
The old behavior makes us complicit. Like there has to be.
it will continue to repeat itself. And, you know, I said this on your show yesterday. If we don't get it together,
That's what
you
these
know, once
discussions
again,
are for.
yep, you know, it's already happened. I'll continue to bring it up. There's a reason why people are moving to Arizona in record numbers.
You're just trying to get me to
Nobody can
move there.
figure
You
it out.
keep telling me, like literally every time I talk
Listen,
to you, you're like, I wish you
watch
lived
what I
here.
watch. You're gonna eventually get out here, and then you're gonna be like,
Why do I
not
have
only
an apartment?
you're gonna understand, but you're gonna feel it. You're gonna be like, yeah, I got to get out. You're gonna pack the birds up, and you're gonna move to Arizona. It's a beautiful place, but it's there's something about this land that just it does something to the body, the soul, the mind, and it's measurable. It's measurable. You know what I mean? There's a reason why
Maybe I'll just go
the
hang out with
military
Melinda
is.
Leslie in Sedona. Like everybody wants to go to Sedona and watch UFOs.
Sedona's become, I hate to say it, Sedona's become
Tourist trap.
bastardized, sensationalized to the point to where it's and this is my state. I love the state, so I need to be careful. But it brings in great tourism dollars. It brings money into a very beautiful place. And that money goes to keeping it up, cleaning up Sedona. That's why you never see any trash on any sort of hike that you'll ever go on in that location. So it's money that is well, not only spent there, but it's reused to the resources to keep that place clean. But there's a lot of energy, spiritual energy there in Sedona, and there's the people that are drawn to the sensational of all of it. Oh, it's Sedona, it's a beautiful place. We hear this all this stuff that's going on in vortexes and portals, and so they come to visit it. But then there's the people that are really drawn to the land, and they really come out here, and it's more than just Sedona. It's the Grand Canyon, it's Phoenix, it's Tucson, it's Bisbee, it's the Superstition Mountains, it's the White Tank Mountains, it's the Dreamy Draw, it's Camelback Mountain. Before Phoenix was even a developed city, people were coming out here and visiting the mountains. So there's something spiritually here, and the energy is coming from the ground. And I'm telling you, once you come, you'll be like, yeah, this is it. But yeah, I mean, my thing is this: I follow the military. You know, you look at these shows like what was the one that not Russell Crowe, what's that guy's name? Greenland. I can't think of his name. The guy that played in 300. But
This is such a
where they had the
generational conversation, right? Like you're calling off movies that I know, but like the last thing that I would ever go see. You're such a boy. 300, like
but like I liked it because the storyline behind it is these asteroids and meteors come down, they hit Earth, and we got to go. The military's built these bunkers and hidden in Greenland. And I look at that and it's entertainment and all, but the storyline is, when something happens, follow the military, follow the military. So me, I feel comfortable where I'm at because I know the military is here. I know they're everywhere around here. I'm not in Idaho. I'm not in New York. I'm not in Florida. I'm not in California. I'm where the military is. If something ever were to happen, whether it was another country or from another place, for some reason, I don't know why, but I just feel safe here. I know there's hidden military bases. I know there's stuff that goes under mountains. And, history shows that humanity was forced underground in the past.
well,
So,
what makes you think that they would include you in their little plans? Have you seen Paradise?
I mean,
Like,
it's
oh,
it's it's not just like the bunkers in the military. It's a safe zone is I guess is the bigger picture. And
either that or it's the number one target. Like I'm figuring DC, New York, LA, and all of where the military is will be the first freaking target if that's who's being deployed by the sociopaths that aren't complying with galactic rules and they're sick of it. So if they're the ones responsible for the fuckery, that's the first target.
there was
I
there
mean,
was
what?
there was I always think of,
Like,
and this was
like, like
maybe
if
about
if they're a
there
girl,
was
I'm thinking like a chick. Like, if they're a girl and they want to get vengeance, they're gonna get you where you live, and that's in Arizona. Mm.
mm, yeah, see, and here's another thing is a lot of the stuff that happens as far as military infrastructure, it's see, we know about it. If you were to come here and I took you to a specific area and I didn't mention that it was military, you wouldn't know unless I pointed it out to you. So Arizona is very it's really hidden in plain sight.
It's like spy
It,
versus spy, military right under your nose, so that you
you
can't see
don't and you
it,
don't
like
even know
hiding,
it.
hiding in
You
plain
don't know
view
it.
stuff. Yeah.
There's so many people that live in specific areas, and this is why once again it was they decided to come here in the 40s, even though they didn't think a portable air conditioner would change how people would
Oh my
literally change
God, you're back to that again.
migration. you
Portable
know
air conditioner done fucked up the
Or
military. Woo.
messed up their plans. And the city grew, and then the city grew around old places.
Well, what kind
And
of craziness was going on around Palm Springs? Because there's another place that you would think no one would ever go until there's an air conditioner. Like all the places that heat up like that. What else? What's going on there? Arizona's not the only place.
so look, this is something that you're shining light on. The places that didn't have portable air conditioning, or air conditioning for that matter, is where the government went. And they had their test ranges, they had their bases, they had um, technology that they were reverse engineering. You got to do that away from the public. And once again, Phoenix was a place that they didn't expect to grow. So that's why when they went to Nevada, they made sure they picked a location that was not going to have the growth of a city and a major population. And then not only that, they roped it off. But the same thing is here in Arizona. Like I said, it's hidden in plain sight. You can look at maps, you won't even see it. You have to go on the ground and physically see the borders yourself. And that's how you learn, or you'll understand why the range has been renamed, but you'll learn and understand like how big it is. When you come here, you see military operations almost daily. You know, it's the thing. It's we see the new technology. We see everything before it goes out to the world. I'll give you a prime example. That plane that they just released, like the G-35 or the G-40 something, chances are that thing is been in our desert, in our skies. I probably photographed it in 2015. I do know that the plane that I photographed, or that craft that I photographed, was ours. So we see the stuff before it even hits the market. They say it was out about 5 years, probably more like 10. That plane has actually been out. That type of craft, whatever it is. But we see the stuff. You know what I mean? And that's just like I said, there's areas here where I'll take you and I'll point them out. Like, we won't film it. And you just be like, oh, and then you see everything, but it's well hidden, you know? And
I have an idea based on that. Remind me after we're done here. Well, so like I have another thing that I want to go back to just for a second,
okay.
and that's like this Ryan Wood interview with that young man. Um, he said Ryan Wood did that and you can see like the majestic12documents.com. I think there's a website dedicated to that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
ever loaded in there and looked around?
Familiar with it, yes.
Okay. So he talks about uh one of the few think pieces. My mother would, I mean, I can hear her just rolling her eyes, just going, yes, of course, because thinking is it's not what we're supposed to do. Thinking is out. No, it's not. Um, but he says, who's to say, or he says, if planet Earth in Albert Einstein and Oppenheimer, finish your thoughts, wrote the piece. It's in the Majestic 12 documents.com website. And I don't remember what else he said, but you can see. But what I extracted was that from this think piece, and I'm paraphrasing because he was paraphrasing, if planet Earth is devoid of political unity, I mean, I don't know how much more devoid of political unity we can be, then some, quote, other species, unquote, would have the right to colonize Earth, but not along the traditional lines. And trigger AI, AI. What makes us feel like everything's convenient and is having to do stuff for us, and then the transhuman and all this stuff makes us lazier and lazier and lazier and lazier. So we're all looking to the skies for some alien invasion, and these idiots are trying to do false flag Abbott and Costello slapstick. I mean, Charlie Chaplin would do a better job if that's what was going on. Like, I'm not kidding you right now. So if that's what was going on, major fail. You guys are a bunch of buffoons. And this is what happens when you change the education system to creating workers, not thinkers, because now you've hired a bunch of workers who may be smart enough to whatever, but they're actually not thinkers. They're information retention spaces that respond like robots. So this is why the buffoonery. You've got a bunch of dummies that you've turned into dummies on purpose. It's backfired. Sorry. Directly related. Like, I'm
I
not
like the idea.
nuts.
I like the idea of the ushering in of a new species, and I like to really, even though we do have AI, and I don't want to say that that's not a far fetched, like, the reality of that really happening is closer than what it was in the 90s or even the early 2000s. But I really do believe a new species is going to be ushered in, and and I think we talked about this yesterday a little bit.
Started talking about a lot of little things.
Yeah, right. I like the idea of Antarctica and putting things into, like, something that has historically already happened. And what if Antarctica, just right now, Antarctica is going through their ice age? And with the global warming, that would make sense. We know that, and the global warming partly or mainly is because of us. We're heating the planet up, but when that happens, uh, this our ice, whatever Antarctica is accessible. Maybe it is now. Maybe
What?
that's what
Maybe
they're
maybe
hiding.
the earth is heating up from the inside out and people aren't taking that into account. Maybe it's not as much us as we're
Very possible.
being conditioned to think it is, because maybe they're actually, it's easier to blame humans because they'll believe that, and then we can actually know that it's the earth heating up from inside like it did in that last cycle. And this is, again, I'm going back to what my friend John Shaughnessy uh postulates, and that's that the pyramids are all off gassing for water. So when it does heat up and all the water comes out and there's a flood, and then because that the magnetic poles flip, and then maybe or maybe not the earth actually, and then the crazy that's created, and then it has to calm down, and here we go. Oh, look, the earth. It's, Antarctica is now North America. North America is now frozen. There's some land
Yep.
bridge that didn't exist, but put back together because like, you know what? When I wake up, I like to stretch. Why shouldn't the planet? Like every time I stretch, how does that not throw my cells all crazy? And then they have to land back after. I mean, it happens in like that, but like it's a disruption, it's a disturption, and a coming back too.
One thing that is in our history is migration. If you look at the history of migration, it always shows that we've had to move from one place to another for whatever reasons. The Mayans weren't abducted by aliens. They just moved over to the next valley because the resources were gone and things changed. It's shown over and over again throughout history. We migrate. There's footprints fossilized on mountaintops showing us where we've gone and where we will be going. And is that possible? I mean, once again, you talk about water coming out and the heat, all of this stuff is a real possibility. But the one thing I can guarantee, where everybody is comfortable and settled right now, they'll probably have to move. Probably have to get up and move. And whatever advancements that they had in the past, when they had to get up and move, they were gone. They took what they had and they had to move. We know this. Whoever built those pyramids and the structures underneath, you look at it now, clearly they had to move because there's evidence that there's water there, was water there. and who knows, it might be there again. So yeah, I think that something going on, obviously there's something going on with Antarctica, but I do think that there's a possibility that there's a civilization there right now that we don't know about. They might be more advanced than we are. It could be the Hitler for all I know. What if the conspiracy theorists are right about that one? Who knows?
I
But
mean,
I think that
the psychics are all saying things like, 2027, and then, as much as bless his heart, Richard Doty, like whether he's an informant, misinformer, disinformer, retired from all of that, still plays the game. Like, I don't know, you know, you can take it to the bank that something's going to happen between 27 and 30. That's, because like I said, I think I mentioned this yesterday, something hit me and I had this stream of consciousness come right through my yapper. And I thought, where am I sending this, Rick Doty? And it was all about the solar flares. It was all about craft coming in and out of the sun. Like, I don't really care what's flying over Arizona. I care more about what anomalies are going in and out of the sun uh, in conjunction with the flares. Like, what's going in and out of the sun. Maybe solar flares aren't the sun, just maybe every time something pierces the solar atmosphere and goes in, that's what causes a flare. I'm not a scientist. I just feel my way through stuff. And like, honestly, every time I make a joke about something, that's what ends up being like accurate. So I don't know. Just these thoughts that I have. And then the
you got
response
to remember we had a solar storm.
Carrington event and one before
Well,
that.
the Carrington event was in 1908, I believe, but we just had it's an 11-year cycle where the sun destabilizes, and that just happened 2023 and 2024, I believe. But there were solar flares. There's a specific name for it. Not CMEs. It's the much bigger one, like the Carrington event. Um,
Stefan Burns, he's Stefan Burns. There's a guy who every day he's got another update about what the sun is doing. Like as much like almost like Ashton Forbes and the flight that went down. Obs-
mm.
This guy's as obsessed with the sun as Ashton Forbes is obsessed with that flight that disappeared. And they both get whooped up when things start getting, you know,
Are you talking about the Malaysia flight?
yeah, yeah, MH, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and back to the solar storms, we just had the Northern Lights. They were down like people. We were able to see them here
Yeah, here in New York too.
in Arizona, and that's like unheard of. So whatever I can't think of it right now. It's where the sun destabilizes and a hole opens up, and this massive coronal ejection. But there's a specific. They're like super solar storms, pretty much. And it's the spot where the sun destabilizes. It's much bigger than a solar flare, and some of those were, they're always being shot past Earth. The best way to explain it, if people are watching and they don't know, it's like the sun farts, right? And sometimes we smell it. And one of the biggest ones that hit us was in 1947, and that was how the military knew the UFO wave of 1947 was going to happen. The larger one happened, I believe it was 1908, which was the Carrington event, where the super solar storm, it hit us so hard that people were going to work at the time where they used, like, I think it was like the telegraph, where their headphones actually had to plug into the event or the actual device. And the people were showing up to work and they were getting signals in their head devices 10 to 15 feet away from the actual device that they were supposed to plug it into. The solar storm that happened in 1947 started in March, where there was worldwide radio blackouts, and it lasted all the way until August of 1947. And in the middle of that, of the height of that, was Roswell. There was the William Rhodes crash. There was also the Dreamy Draw. There was so many different UFO sightings that took place during 1940, but specifically in within a specific period from June and July, where the sightings nearly tripled in reports and things like that. So
Is the term you were looking for a mega thrust?
no, it's like a. And what's sad, I done so many. I know I talk about it in borrowed time.
All right. Well, he's
Uh,
talking about solar wind. He's talking about coronal mass ejections, and then he's talking about rotations of coronal holes. There's a coronal hole going on. That was 7 days ago in conjunction with when they were telling us the aurora was going to show up south of wherever. Um,
yeah, and then there's these super. So it look it up, and I talk about it, and I just can't think of the name. But every 11 years, the sun destabilizes, and this could be what the Mayans were predicting with the sun. And also, this is another thing. Remind me to talk about this because this is a theory that I have as well.
just
So
go.
with the
Talk about it now. You might as well. We're here.
so when it comes to the
Hearing.
Mayan calendar, that was December 21st, 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Um, we do know now when the Mayans predicted that time frame, they were actually off. So they were like 99.2% correct. Because they accurately predicted 365 days, and I believe it was 2 hours in a calendar year. But in reality, it was 365 days and 4 hours or 6 hours. I think it's 6 hours.
Okay,
And
so
that's why
if you do
every
the
four
math, you can
years.
close the gap and pretty much estimate what year it actually is. So maybe that's what they're saying, 27 and
Yeah.
30. That's why they're saying between 27, 20. And this is maybe why when I went off about all my crazy things about the sun, I went nuts. Like I just went full throttle stream of consciousness, like long Facebook message, like da 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 dictated. All he said was, wow. Like, but I don't know. And I said, why are you saying wow? Did I say something accurate that's freaking you out? And there was no response. So I must have said something that was like, how the fuck does she know that? So I'm
Who was that?
gonna,
Who was that you sent the message to?
my OSI guy,
Ah.
my Air Force OSI guy, who's a known disinformant. Mr. It's swamp gas for how long? Until now, no, now it wasn't swamp gas, and oh yeah, I told a lie. Like, so now who knows what he's saying and what it's, but he's still plugged into what's going on. But he insisted in our talk that uh I don't know, that if I worked at it, I could probably be of use. Which is why I said maybe I should come out there and try to like, cause like you and your sausage fest out there, where's the chick? Where's the
I mean, there's just not a lot of women in this field. You got Dr. Lynn, you got Linda Moulton Howe, you know what I mean? And then there's you, there's
But I'm
La
not
Bright. It's not
ufology.
very many.
But I'm not a ufologist. I'm a consciousness evolution pimper. I'm a pimper of new concepts so that we can free ourselves from the bullshit. That's
You're a part of the you're a part of the bigger picture, which is the easier term is paranormal activity.
visionary,
Uh,
futurist.
it's things that
I
are
don't know.
outside of the normal that people experience, whether it's, because if we're able to channel these things in, because keep in mind, I'm not able to do that, but I know of people that can. um if we're consciously connected to them, then that means that we are literally connected to these things. So it's normal activity that is outside of the normalness of what we know, if that's even a word. But yeah, it you I keep saying this to you, you might be a part of a much bigger picture, and he might not have, or maybe you did strike a chord with this guy. What is that?
I didn't mean to
You're
hold my middle finger up. I was just trying to stabilize it on my nose because I thought that maybe like the new species of human can have a fidget spinner at the end of their nose in,
Oh,
in case one of them has ADD and it needs something to do. Like I was trying to stop it with my tongue to see if it would hurt. Because what? What were we talking about? Kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, I have big ideas. I do. Maybe, I mean, big ideas fit into part of a bigger picture, which is why I'm not sure. Like, it's not like I want to be heard and I want to be famous and I want to go down in history for my concepts. Like, that's not it. I I just want to help myself and help humanity while I'm doing it. And while I'm figuring it out, I'm pretty sure that I've gotten because I'm not bogged down by all the crazy everybody else is. It gives me the ability to hone in and focus my attention and my
I'm telling you, you got to come to the sacred desert and learn your purpose. That's my
I don't
best
think that
advice
there's
for
any
you.
learning your purpose is an inside job. It has nothing to do with where you are geographically, although I think that there are different energies on different ley lines that serve different purposes,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
vibrationally.
You
But
just said it right there. So, you know,
right, but that's like, it's a choice to go to Arizona, it's a choice to go wake that stuff up, it's a choice to acknowledge that it even exists. So it's
I
not the
mean, you could even go down to Atlanta and experience the 33rd parallel. You can go to, I think, Birmingham. Um, there's you're just off. You know how the ley line works is how can I
Is there a less backward state that has the 33rd besides Arizona and
so
Alabama?
like
What
your
other options do I have? I don't think I would do very well in Alabama, man.
so like your ley line is, let's just say this is your main concentration right here, right? And then your ley lines, you got your parallel, and then your ley lines are like exit ramps and exits off of the highway, right? So those exits lead north and south, right? And then you got your main parallel of energy that shoots across. So, you might be getting some sort of little frequency up in here, but you need to come down closer to really get your messages and understand the messages to get that you so what I think helps. I think that's why so many people are moving here, because they're on those frequency tips. They're on them little borderlines that are saying something might be getting ready to happen, and this is where you need to be. I'm just saying that's just Clive's opinion. That is just Clive's opinion there.
You have to
But
have a segment that's called Clyde's Opinion.
Clive's opinion.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Like you have to like, you know,
I love it. It sounds
Right,
good.
Jimmy the
Clive's
Bull, it
opinion.
doesn't matter what you're talking about when you're on your out of context. You could be talking about the galaxy, you could be talking about fire ants and how to avoid them, or what to do to break an ant death circle if to save them, because I never seen that before. Do you know what that is? A death circle?
I don't. I'm just hearing about but I are we talking about the little thing that they form
And then they
around
don't stop
certain?
until they just croak because they've lost their scent. So they just follow each other in a circle until they
Oh,
collapse.
really?
So you can break it up somehow because yeah, it's messed up. Like it's carpenter ants, did they say? It doesn't really matter.
Hmm.
But yeah, I figured I'd throw some kind of just, completely irrelevant whackness in there. So help ants break the death circle.
Help
Like,
help break the death circle.
maybe humanity's in some weird death circle. Maybe we need to have our, you know, maybe
Well,
we're
we
just
call
all
it we call
following.
it the hamster wheel. We call it the hamster wheel.
Well, so
right?
there you go. Why isn't the gerbil treadmill, hamster wheel, lemmings off of a either we go off a cliff or we go around in circles. I think we've got to break that pattern, and like that's what I'd like to see happen before I take my last breath in this physical wrapper. I don't know if it will, but the more I try to understand it and reduce it to something simple for other people to understand, should they choose to focus their attention on something besides hamster wheel fodder long enough, you can always go back to that. Just open your
Yeah,
mind.
my Hopi elder, John Makwe, he tells me we're entering, and he looks at that everybody is Hopi, not just a native, but he believes that we're entering the fifth realm, and the fourth entering of the fourth realm happened years ago with an event, interesting with a woman that was from Arizona, Hopi woman.
Yes.
But now we're entering into the fifth realm, and he says that's happening right now, and this awakening, and these are if you don't know anything about the Hopi, I definitely recommend
I do.
you deep
I do.
dive into that, and that's another thing coming out here. We'll go visit him. We'll go down, and you can sit with him and hang out with him, and yeah. So
How did
uh,
we get back into Leanne has to come to Arizona? He's making a hit list of all the places he's taking me. I think in Clive's Mind movie, if you're gonna go to Joe Dispenza world, Leanne's already in Arizona, looking around, going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I waited this long."
what if I could see into the future, and this is just like me saying like, yo, this is, you got to speed it up, man. Like,
Got to
what are you
catch
doing?
up with my idea.
You got, it's like everything that you're seeing, these visions, they become
Everything
reality
that's
here.
going on here in New York, it's pointing to either I'm going to save myself or there's going to be a major shift in my living situation. So
Well,
I'm open to anything. She said,
let's major
if they,
shift it and get to shifting it, and then you film. We talked about this. We got to come up with the name. So we'll let your fans come up with a name, but we've been
no, we
talking
won't.
about it. No, we're not going to let them come up with a name because I
No,
love the idea. We're going to get you and your birds in a car. You're going to drive across the country, and we're going to film it. And it's like your version of Jay and Silent Bob. They're trying to go to Hollywood. Leanne's coming to Arizona with her birds, and it's going to be.
Jimmy the Bull. You know what would be really funny, actually? And I said we weren't going to talk about this, but I think it would be really funny if along the way, like I pick certain people up. So like if Jimmy the
Yeah.
Right, right. So like so I was driving through Pennsylvania and I saw this guy, like I stopped to get a donut and in the cafeteria was so and so. And it turns out he wanted to get to whatever. So I just, you know, took him for
Yeah.
and like it's road trip with like five different people all the way to Arizona.
See, there's a reason why I bought it
Pretty
up, so
funny.
that way your fans and everybody watching, and make
I
sure it happens,
can't
because it's a
stop. That's awesome.
beautiful. It is a beautiful concept
Oh,
that, once again, it can, I was sitting there, and I don't know what we were even talking about or what I
I
was
don't
thinking
know.
about, but
But we are
you
so
just
what
popped into
off
my
topic.
brain.
We're off
It
topic.
was
You're stop.
was I know we are. I know, huh? Look, hey, honestly, I gotta
Online
go.
production meeting on a Zoom.
Yeah, right. I gotta get out of here. I'm 2 minutes
What?
over.
What?
But
Wait, how did
yeah,
we end
let's.
it with a production meeting about all about Leanne and Clive in Arizona?
Okay.
That happened.
Um let's do a closing real quick. What kind of
Yeah,
closing do
let's
you want
like
to do?
what I don't know. What did we talk about? You're more
We talked about the hearing that just happened. I'm assuming that was a congressional hearing, and it sounds like they admitted that those were drones that might have been operated by. We'll say they were operated by humans. I don't think that was AI in any way. I don't think it was aliens. They were definitely operated by humans that had access to the military bases, and the systems were shut down for whatever reason to allow these drones to fly over military airspace, cause a little bit of confusion. no panic, because as the American public, let's give ourselves these credit. We didn't panic. You know what I'm saying? We asked questions. We held down the fort. We got answers, and I'm really proud of us. We've taken a step forward from buying toilet paper during the pandemic. I'm proud of you guys. But yeah, we learned that those drones were in fact operated by humans. And then we talked about Arizona a little bit. We talked about the secrecy here and what's hidden in plain sight. And we touched on the range a little bit, because you really don't want to go like in depth. Now that people are learning where the range is, there's, obviously there's people that work there, there's people that, and you get to know some of them. And sometimes they want to speak in confidence and make sure that it remains in confidence. So, but yeah, we talked about Arizona and just some of the things that have happened here and may happen here and why people are moving here. And then we talked about trying to get Leanne to come to Arizona. See how I did that? You see how I did that? Yeah, that's
I'm
clever.
like my
That's why.
neighbor Gabi. She's downstairs. I love my neighbor Gabi. She's I'll just say she's special needs overall because she's just gotten so many things. Like, but she can talk now. There were issues where there were things going on and they whatever, and now she can talk and she's funny. Then she'll come up and say, so and then we're gonna go to dinner. You like how I said that? You like how I said that? You were very Gabi just now. One of our doormen, Joseph, he's the coolest one. He's the guy in my music video, like the doorman.
Uh-huh.
That's the aliens in.
Yeah.
Ah. Um, but yeah, no, he calls her Gabi the gladiator. And sometimes she'll come out and she'll be super friendly, and sometimes she'll come out and she'll just be like, walk right by you. She's in a mood. Like it all depends on where
Mm.
the levels of whatever are. But I adore her. I adore her. When she doesn't like somebody, she calls them a motherfucker asshole and then says, don't tell my sister I said that.
Oh man.
I love Gabi. And her favorite color is purple. Of course it is. So is mine. All right. On that bunch of irrelevancies, let's do part 3.
Until next time, we'll do this again. I'm gonna have to start making like because now that you talked about a segment called Clive's Opinion, I think we're gonna have to,
Have it on the
form
riding
some
the
sort of
frequency. You know what? Maybe that should
right,
be a
yeah,
segment.
Clive's opinion on riding the frequency, where I just come in and say in Clive's opinion,
And
and
then
boom,
just
that
you have it like the whole screen. And then I can rip bong hits and come back and look really fucked up and ask dumb questions. Uh-oh, you know what? Let's do this. Yeah, I didn't need to be tiny to say goodbye. No, it's this. If you're actually
I
I
don't know
just
if my
have
oh
my
I
mask
can't.
on.
I still got it. I didn't know if I had that, Yeah, I still got it. Okay.
And I
Guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for having me again. Back to back. We're back to back. Now we got to see if we can shoot for a three-peat. You know what I mean? But thank you for having me for real. I enjoy spending time and hanging out with you. And, until next time, you're riding the frequency. Oh, did I just close your show?
no, I'm gonna do that after you get out of my house. Get out. Look, it's bad enough he wants me to come to Arizona. Now he's trying to be me. Like this is flattering. This is like all about Eve. What's going
Oh
on?
man,
You want to be my
it
assistant
felt
and then
it
whack me,
felt
and then
perfect.
he's going to
It,
be
it
riding the freak.
came it came from down here and just was like,
I'm going to share some footage with you from the weekend.
okay,
It's
all
fun.
right.
Okay, now we're going to say goodbye for real. Bye, everybody. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and then when we come back next time, hopefully I'll remember to look so we can.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys. Well, there you go. Clive, and more Clive, and I don't have any plans to move to Arizona. At least not right this minute. It's good to know that there's a tour set up for me when I do get there, though, huh? Clive the Persuasive. You guys keep riding the frequency. Keep watching the slapstick. I don't know. That's it. Remember, you're the awareness. See ya.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you one?
Frequency, frequency, frequency.
I'm the end. I'm the end. I'm the end. Are you ready to ride the frequency? Are you ready to ride the frequency?